Sorry, call. I'm busy.
Hello.
Can you tell me?
Hello everyone. My name is Amit Ramanuj. I'm new here in the Meetups, and I'm a senior game designer with Nation. I'm going to talk a bit about Agile. So this is a lot different than the previous talk. So I've been in the industry for more than a decade now, and I've worked with a lot of different studios. Some of them had no project management whatsoever. Some had really good agile management. So for those of you who have been in the industry for a long time and have worked, this is probably a revision for you, and we can maybe have a retrospective at the end of this. But those who are new to this concept, let this be an introduction. What is Agile? And we're going to start with a straightforward definition. What I like about this definition particularly, I mean, there are a lot on different websites or different certifications give different definitions, but this one involves three key phases: iterative approach, continuous releases, and customer feedback. And these are the key phrases because that's the most benefit of Agile. So when you think about Agile, like all these different development methods come to mind. But it's not just another software development method, it's more of an umbrella term in the industry that covers all of these. But it's just applying Agile doesn't really mean that you're running an Agile development. It's important that you really understand the values and principles of it to truly embrace Agile. So doing Agile does not equal to embracing Agile. There's a lot more to it. These are the values of Agile, which were set by in 2001, a group of software engineers got together and defined 12 principles and derived these values from it. And since I'm short on time, we're going to focus on the values because they are the most important ones. And even the studios that implement Agile don't really often review the values of it or don't really follow. They just start following the processes, but somewhere they lose the track of these values, and it's important to revise it time and time again. So let's talk about why Agile, and why Agile in video games specifically. Because this is more of a software development, and we're taking it from the software development industry. So there are three main benefits I'm going to point out. And the first one is it improves collaboration and communication. So we work with a lot of cross-functional teams. We have engineers, artists, designers, and all of them speak different languages. So having agile tools and processes really improves the communication between us. Daily scrums and sprint reviews or even retrospectives, it gets us talking about our work. That's the whole point of this. It doesn't mean that you have to have like more meetings. Daily stand-ups can happen over Slack messages. It makes people aware of what you're working on. Other than that, story mapping, DoD's definition of done. These techniques improve the clarity in your work, especially for the game designers. This is really helpful. You can have user stories and DoDs to really convey what you want from the features or mechanics. Next is the product value, which is so for us product value is the experience or emotions we want to convey. And if you have a great idea but you're just sitting on it, it's pretty useless. So in Agile, because you're running shorter sprints and bite-sized tasks, you're able to build the small features and then release the builds more frequently. And that really helps with testing out the ideas that you have. So yeah, the tools like iterative approach of Agile and CI/CD really helps with frequent, regular builds. And once you have regular builds, you can establish the feedback loop, which is basically you're inviting stakeholders, product managers, community managers to playtest your builds with you and give you feedback. Early feedback really helps. There have been so many times that I've given early builds to our clients, and they come back with they realize that okay, our design is completely off and we need to rethink. So the early that happens in the development is better. Agile is also compatible with A/B testing. If you do that, it's just really the fail fast approach, which is basically frequent builds, frequent testing. That's all it's about. So if you're working on client projects, this will help you accommodate client ever-changing design requests. So I have an example here, which is the development of Walking Dead Road to Survival. I worked on this a couple of years ago and will briefly talk about it. So first of all, Walking Dead development was a waterfall model. We had a fixed scope on each feature, and we went through all these stages: requirement, design, development, in this very sequence. So, by all definition, Walking Dead was a waterfall-driven project, but we had a lot of agile concepts implemented in the development. So it was very strong servant leadership approach, where producers really helped us own the development of the project. We get to decide what we want to work on each sprint, and that gave us really control and allowed us to be more creative. We had story mapping task breakdown activities, which was more of a group activity that involved all the participants, artists, engineers, everyone. So there was a lot of buy-in. We ended every sprint with a working build, so that was kind of a goal for each sprint, and that allowed us to really playtest even when the feature was not really complete. So frequent testing will improve the outcomes. And there are other important things, but most importantly, when something was wrong, we were really allowed to communicate that as soon as possible. Just shout your lungs out and let everyone know, because finding a fix was more important than just sitting on a problem. And that's about it for my talk. So again, embracing Agile is, even if you don't follow the Agile project management methods, you can still follow the concepts of it. You understand the principles and values before implementing the process, and this little website is really really good to start with. Thank you. Yes.
It's me again. Hi.
Hi.
I have a question because you mentioned that for The Walking Dead, you basically had a bunch of waterfall stuff in there, right?
Yes.
That seems to be the case usually. I've been noticing that lately. Like, what's your opinion on that? Like, why are people kind of doing this modified agile methodology instead of like pure agile? Like, why are they mixing it with other things? I always think of that.
Well, waterfall model was more of because Walking Dead was a planned project in a certain way. It was developed by Ivo Mobile, it was here in Vancouver, but the publisher was Scopely. So a lot of feature requests came from Scopely, and there was a fixed budget, fixed scope that we had to deal with. So it eventually became a waterfall model for business reasons, but the development was very much agile. It just allowed us to be more, have more control of the development.
Would you say that it was kind of like potentially easier to measure performance in a way, like combining those different things?
Yes, it's not really necessary to say that agile is better than waterfall. It just depends on what kind of project or what kind of even like feature you're working on. Because if you're working on live ops, there are other development methods that's better, and Scrum is better for feature development. So yeah, I guess we combined both to have a better outcome.
Makes sense. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes.
You, and then you.
Thank you so much for your talk. I am currently working in a team, and we are trying to, again, as you're saying, we're implementing certain agile principles, but I don't think we're embracing it. And a big part of it is that we fall a little bit into, well, we have a lot of broken builds, and then we don't really go to actually test them to get that feedback. So we find ourselves at the end of sprints not kind of finishing that feedback loop. I wanted to know if you have an experience of how to get more comfortable with that situation or how to avoid it.
Well, part of the, like, I guess what you're doing is correct, that you have, at the end of the sprint, you have a build that you want to retest. What we did was at the end of every sprint, we would have a team demonstrating what they worked on, and other members would take notes and just have a list of what's broken, which was immediately turned into the next set of tasks. And then, I mean, it was usually the producer and product managers put those tasks in the backlog and prioritize that. So if something is broken and needs to be fixed, there has to be someone to decide the priority when to fix that. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks. Just a short example here. When trying to break down tasks, if you have a large feature request from, whether it's a publisher or other source, designer even, how have you found in your experience breaking up those tasks into more play testable things, even if the task might seem like, oh, it's very dependent on all these other features, which is going to take 3 months to get all those features in the game. But of course, we're working in 1 or 2 week sprints. So how at the end of the 1 or 2 week sprint might we break up our tasks to the point that, oh, it's actually workable, doable? What high level goals? Of course, it will be dependent on what role you have, but what high level things do you see consistent across all the different tasks in your job?
Yeah, so it did not always work that way, especially when new team members who start on working with us, it was really hard to get them comfortable with the task breakdown that can result in a working build at the end. Most of the time, the first build was not really a functional build, and it was more about, like the first sprint was more about demonstrating the work that we have done. Like for example, an artist would just show sketches of characters instead of complete characters in the game. So sometimes it was not in the build, but it was still presentable work that you would show and receive feedback. So it's when we say working software or working build at the end of the sprint, I agree that it's not always possible. It happens as you progress through the development, but in the initial steps, it's more on the, like for the designers, it's going to be paper designs or mock-ups, and for artists, it's going to be sketches, things like that. But I guess it's more about getting into the practice of creating bite-sized tasks, and slowly people get hang of it and get comfortable with creating tasks that can result into a functional build at the end.
Okay, so are there any non-agile methods other than waterfall that you're aware of?
So a lot of development methods were basically combined under Agile. Not really.
I didn't know the polarity thing for either on this side or on the other side.
There are some development methods like extreme programming, or well, that's one example I would say. But it falls under Agile now. So again, Agile is not a development methodology in a sense. It's just a set of values and principles derived from those methods. Scrum, Lean, XP, all these methods existed even before the Agile manifesto was written.
Are they the opposite of waterfall though?
I don't think it's the opposite, but yeah, I mean there is a concept called iron triangle, which basically tells you like you have a fixed requirement, flexible time, and flexible resources. And the other one is sort of opposite. Thank you very much.